Hello and welcome to Coding Demos. In this tutorial, you're going to learn how you can use Firebase to allow the user to log in to the app. In the previous tutorial, you'll learn how to use Firebase to allow the user to register with the app and how you can save their data inside Firebase. So by the end of this tutorial, you're going to have an app that looks like this. So previously, there was no login button, but in this tutorial, I added the login button, and when you click on the login button, you'll be directed to this page that has an email and a password, edit text, as well as the login button. So here I'm going to log in with the email and password that was previously registered inside of Firebase. So you can see if I open up the browser, I have these two email addresses which was saved previously in the tutorial that we did while registering the user. So now we're going to use the email, one of these email and password, to log into the app. So let's go back to the app and let's key in an email address and key in the password, and then you click on login. So you can see you'll be directed to another page, which we can call this as a profile page. So in this profile page, we have a text view which holds the user email address and a sign out button. So if you click on the sign out button, you will be directed back to this main page. So if you exit the app and then you open it up again, you will be directed back to the same page. So if, let's say, you log into the app but you didn't sign out, so this is how it will happen. Oh, this is how the flow will look like. Okay, we're supposed to log in here. Sorry about that. That was a sign up. We should click on the login here, and then let's key in the email address again, and let's key in the password, and you click on login. Okay, so we have the login here, we have the profile page. Now you don't click on the sign up button, instead you just exit the app, and when you open the app again, you won't be directed back to the home page. Instead, you'll be directed back to the profile page. Why? Because Firebase actually check whether this user have previously logged in and there is still an active session inside the app. If there is, then the user doesn't have to log in again. Instead, they will be directed back to the home page, the profile page in our example here, which has the email and a sign up button. If Firebase checks that there is no active session, then it will direct you back to the main page, which is, in our case, we have this page that has the login and the sign out button. Okay, so let's get started. Now let's open up the main activity here, and the first thing that we need to do is we need to create two pages. The first one would be the profile page, and the second one is the login page. So let's do it now. You click on the Java folder, and then you click on the package, right click and choose new, and then go all the way down to activity and choose empty activity. You're going to change the name to login activity, and then you click on finish. Okay, the Gradle project sync is in progress, and we have a login activity. Let me just close this. We have login activity and we have its layout right here. The second page that we need to create is the profile page. So let's just wait for Gradle syncing to finish. Okay, so Gradle sync is complete, and we have the login activity. So if you click on the layout file, and you have it right here. Now the second page that we need to create is the profile. So right click again on the package name, choose new, and then scroll all the way to the activity, and then you choose empty activity. Same process, change the name to profile activity, and you click on finish. And Gradles is in progress. Gradle is in progress, so let's just wait for this to finish. Still working on it. Okay, so I guess it's done. Yep, progress is finished. Now you go back to the main activity here, and then we need to add a button that says login, the same as in our example here. So go to we have the main activity of Java, so you open up the activity underscore main.xml file, and then we're going to add a button below the sign up button. So click on palette, choose a button, drag it below it here, and then you change the ID to button login and change the label to login. Okay, now you close the activity underscore main, and then you open up the main activity.java. Let's create another button, which is the login, and below the sign up button on click listener, we need to add the on click listener for the login button. So when the user taps on the login button, this user will be directed to the login page. So we're going to do start activity, and we're going to use attend. We're going to pass the current context main activity.this and login activity.class. Okay. Alright, so we have the login on click listener is set and ready. So when you click on the login button, you should be directed to the login activity here. Great. Now you go to the login activity, and inside the login activity.java, we need to add two edit text and a login button. So to do that, you open up activity underscore login, and then we're going to change the root layout here. Instead of constraint, we're just going to use a linear layout, and we're going to set the orientation for this layout, and we call this vertical. And then we're going to add a toolbar, because this toolbar will hold the name of the screen, which is in this example would be login. And then we're going to change the theme, because by default the title will appear in black color, so we don't want that. We want it to be in white. So you will do theme overlay compact.dark, that's the one. And then inside the toolbar, we're going to do the same thing, which is adding a progress bar. We need to show a progress bar when the user taps on the login to indicate that there is some operation going on in the background. And to do that, I'm just going to go to the main activity underscore main, and I'm going to just copy this code, close this, and we're going to the activity underscore login, and I'm just going to paste it right here. So we have the progress bar and we have the toolbar. Now the other thing we need to add is the two edit text, which is the email and password. So this is the email and this is the password. So there's going to be a email, let's call this address, or we'll call this user email, user email, and for the second part would be edit text user pass. Okay, now for this, the first edit text user email, we need to set a hint Android, and then we're going to call this email, and let me just copy this and paste it inside here, and I'm going to change this to password. Okay, and then final thing is we need to add a button. Okay, let me drag a button towards the bottom here, and I'm going to change the ID to button user login, for example, user login, and I'm going to change the label to login. Alright, now we've added all these views inside the XML layout. Now you need to open up the login activity, and you need to reference these views. So the first thing we have is the toolbar. I'm going to call this toolbar, and then let me import the toolbar. Make sure you import the support version 7 library, and then you're going to add the progress bar, and then the first edit text, which is the email address. So we're going to call this user email, and then edit text user pass, and then we will have a button that's called user login. Alright, now inside the onCreate is where we're going to reference these IDs. So first one will be toolbar. I'm going to use find view by ID, r.id dot toolbar 2, and then for the progress bar, same thing, find view by ID, r.id progress bar. Let me just repeat the same thing for the rest. So the first one would be user email, and this would be edit text user email. This one is user pass, and this would be edit text et user pass, and user login. This is the button login here. Button user login. Okay. Now we need to set the toolbar title. Toolbar.set title. We need to set we need to give this screen a name, which would be login. And then we need to, now once we have referenced these views with their IDs, you need to start to use the Firebase auth to enable user to log into the app. Okay, so let's set the user login button, set on click listener. Okay, so we have the on click listener here, and then down here we're going to do a Firebase auth, and then right below the toolbar title, I'm going to add the Firebase auth equals to Firebase.getInstance. Alright. Okay, so inside the user login, the set on click listener, the on click method here is where we're going to call one of the Firebase auth method to log in the user, and we're going to do Firebase auth dot sign in with email and password. So choose that, and here we need to pass two values, that is the email address and the password. So we do user email dot get text dot toString, and for the password would be user pass dot get text dot toString, and then we need to add the add-on complete listener, new complete listener, and we need to add a semicolon right here. Let me add this. Let me put this code in new line. All right. So inside the add complete listener, the onComplete method is where we're going to check for the result based on the task here. So the task was successful, which means the user did previously registered with the app, and the user details, which means the email, is already saved in Firebase database. Then the task result will be successful, which means the user is actually exists inside the Firebase. Otherwise, we will show an error message saying, for example, this user doesn't exist in the Firebase app, so in the Firebase database. So we're going to use task, and based on task, we're going to do an if condition, and we check if the task is successful, which means user does exist inside the Firebase database. We're going to start a new activity. So when we start new activity, we are directing the user from the login activity to the profile activity. So we do start activity, new attempt, and this would be login activity.this and profile activity.class. Okay, so if the task was successful, we start a new attempt. Now else, if it wasn't successful, we will show an appropriate toast message, toast dot this will be the context, which is login activity dot this, and for the message we're going to use task dot get exception dot get message, and the length would be long, and finally we show the toast. Okay, so if the task wasn't successful, we would show a toast message, and that message will carry whatever message that Firebase sent to our app based on this task. So task, the get exception, the get message. So whatever message that Firebase sent to us, it will be shown right in this toast. If the task was successful, we're going to start a new activity by directing the user from the login activity to the profile activity. Okay, so let's give this a run. Let's see how it looks like on the emulator. Let's hope there are no errors or bugs. Okay, so I have an emulator running. I'm just going to click on the run button and then click on OK, and let's wait for this to finish. Okay, so build is complete and says that the app crashed. Okay, let's look at the logcat. See the reason why the app crashed. Find the error equals string. This is the app here. Okay, so it's caused by Java null point exception, attempt to invoke virtual method, button set on listener, null object reference. It's main activity, login. So we, okay. Okay, and see here, the issue is we set the on-click listener for the login button, but we didn't yet reference the login button with the correct ID. Okay, let's do it now. So login equals to find view by ID r.id dot button login. Let's end this with semicolon. So let's make sure that this login button is actually in the activity underscore main. Okay, that's good. Let's give this a run again. Okay, build is complete, and we can see the app right here. So when you click on the login button, okay, you'll be sent to the login page, which has the email and password and the login button here. So if you go to the login activity, we have set the Firebase auth to sign the user with the email and password, and if the task was successful, we start a new activity. Otherwise, we show a toast message. Let's test this now. So we'll call Joe at yahoo.com, and for the password, and then you click on login. Okay, another thing is missing is we didn't add a progress bar to indicate that there's some sort of an operation working in the background. So we're not sure whether it works. Okay, it works. You're directed to the profile page, but there is no progress bar. Okay, so let's fix that out now. So we have the progress bar here. This is the login page. So when the user clicks on the login button, that's where we're going to show the progress bar. So progress bar set visibility, and we're going to make it visible. And once the Firebase authenticate the user with the email and password, inside the onComplete method is where we're going to set the visibility of this progress bar to gone. Okay, that's one thing. So let's do it now again. Let me just exit the app and then run it again. Now we should be able to see the progress bar when you tap on the login button. So let me open up the emulator, and the build is complete. So you click on the login button, and then you key in the email, and you key in the password, and then you click on the login button. Okay, we're seeing the progress bar. It is loading, so let's wait for the app to direct us. Okay, and it works. We're being directed to the profile page. Okay, so now let's work on the profile page. What we want to do in the profile page is we need to get the currently logged in user email address, and we need to add a sign out button right here. Okay, so let's go to the profile activity, and then we're going to go to the activity underscore profile, the XML file. Let me change this to linear layout and set the orientation to vertical. And then we're going to add a text view and a button. So click on the palette, choose text, drag a text view here. Let me just close this. Drag a text view, and then we're going to call this TV, short for text view, user email, and we're going to change the layout width to make it wrap content. Another thing, we need to increase the text size. Let's say make it 30 sp, and we need to position this text view in the center of the screen, and let's delete the label. Okay, all right, and then below it we're going to add a button. So click on the comment and choose button, and this button will have an ID of button sign out. We can just call it button logout, and here sign out. Okay, now let's go back to the profile activity.java, and let's reference these views. So first thing we have is the text view, and we're going to call this user email, and we have a button which is user logout, and then inside the onCreate method is where we're going to reference these views with their IDs. So user email equals to find view by ID, so r.id, and that would be, sorry, TV stands for text view user email, and for the button would be user logout.find view by ID, r.id button user, sorry, button and sign logout. Okay, another thing we need to do here is we need to call the Firebase auth. And another thing we need to do is, because we want to get the currently logged in user email address, so to be able to access the details of the currently logged in user, we need to use Firebase user, because this Firebase user will give us access to all the user details, all the currently logged in user details. So inside here, we're going to do Firebase auth equals to Firebase.getInstance, and then Firebase user equals to Firebase user, Firebase auth dot get current user. Okay, now when the user, okay, so before user taps on the logout button, first we need to set the currently logged in user email address inside the text field. So we do user email dot set text, and that would be Firebase user dot get email. Okay, now we can call the user logout dot set on click listener new on click listener, and inside the on click method is where we're going to call Firebase auth dot get instance dot sign out. So when you call this method here, you're going to log out the user from the app, and when the user try to access the app, they can't unless they log in again, which means it's like clearing whatever sessions between this app and the Firebase database. Okay, so we're calling Firebase auth.getInstance.signout, which basically means sign out the user from the app. So when you click on this user logout button, you're going to call this method, and once this method is called, we need to send you back to the main page. So we're going to do start activity new attempt, and we're going to call this profile activity, that's the main context, and we're going to direct the user to the main activity dot class. Okay, now let's try this. Let's see whether it works. So I'll click on the run button. I want to check if we're able to get the user email address to show inside the text view, as well as whether the user logout button is working or not. So the build is complete. So let's open up the emulator. Okay, you click on the login button again, and then you key in the email address and password. You click on login, still loading. Okay, all right, so we can see here we have the email address is working fine, which means we can see the currently login user email address, and we have the sign up button. So if you click on the sign up button, you're officially signed up from the app. Okay, that's good. But one thing, if we try to click on the back button, we're being directed to the profile page. So that's not good. What we want is when you click on the sign up button, you are directed back to the main page, and when you click on the back button, you should be directed back to the profile page because you're officially logged out from the app. So to fix that, inside the user logout on click method here, we're going to modify the start activity, the intent part, to add few flags. So let's do it now. Intent, we're going to call this intent equals to, let me just copy this code, cut, paste it here, and this with a semicolon, and start the activity. We're going to pass in the intent. So what I'm going to add here is two flags. So intent dot add flags. So the first one is flag dot clear top, and the other thing is intent dot add flags, and then flag dot clear task. So these two flags will actually clear whatever task or whatever activity that is currently in the stack, and when you start this activity, right? Okay, when you start this activity and you add these two flags, so whatever activity that was previously added on the stack, as well as this kind of activity, will be removed, so that by the time when you click on the back button, on the device back button, you will actually exit the app, because there are no active activities that are currently saved on the current stack. So if there are no activities, then you'll be directed back to you'll be actually exiting the app and go back to the phone home screen. That's why we have these two flags. So we need these two flags to officially log out the user. Now the Firebase logout is actually working fine. It's just that the flow, we need to improve the flow by adding these two flags, so that to the user it looks like, okay, I'm officially logged out from the app. And when I click on the back button, I won't be directed back to the profile page because I have officially signed out. So to test this flow, I'm going to run the app again, and we're going to log in. So let me just wait for the build to complete. So I'm going to open up the emulator here. Yeah, you can see the app crash because we have signed out the user, but we're directed back to this home page. So that's the reason. Now you can open the app again, and then you click on the login. The app was crashed. Another case why the app is crashed, because we called the Firebase that sign out, but when you launch the app again, it directed us back to this page, profile activity, and this profile activity we have the Firebase auth.get current user, but in reality here we don't have any active user, so this line actually turns null. That's why the app crashed. Now if you go back to the app, okay, we are officially logged in. When you click on the sign up button, you are directed back to the main page. Now to test the flow, we're going to click on the device back button, and we're still okay. Let me run this. Let me give this a fresh run, because when you click, this should clear whatever activities that was added in the stack, so it should work. Okay, I'm doing a fresh build. Okay, I'm going to log in. So it's joe@yahoo.com. then Joe. So click on login. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Okay, it's logged in. So click on sign out. If you click on the back, alright. So you can see here it works. So when you click on the back button, the device back button, you are directed actually back to the device home screen, because there are no active activities on the current stack. So you'll be returned back to the home screen, and that's actually the correct behavior. Okay, so now another thing is we need to do, if let's say you log in, right? You log in and you key in the password, key in the email and password, you log in. Okay, it's loading. Now when you're directed back to the profile page, oh yeah, okay, we are in the profile page. Now if we exit the app and let's run the app again, now we don't want the app to direct us back to the home page, to the main page, because the user we have actually logged in before and we didn't sign out. So instead of directing us to the main page, asking us to log in or sign up, we need the app to send us back to the profile page. So to fix this, all you have to do is go back to the code, and then we need to create a class, a Java class. So right click on the package and then choose new and then Java class. I'm going to call this home, and for the super class, this will extend the application. Okay, click OK. So let me just write the code first, and then I'll explain what I'm actually doing here. Okay, I'm going to create the onCreate. Okay, and then here Firebase auth equals to Firebase at the instance, and then Firebase user equals to Firebase auth dot get current user, and then we're checking if the Firebase user is not equal to null. Start a new activity, new attempt. I'm guessing you got the idea of what I'm actually trying to do here, but no worries, I'll explain right now. So home dot this, and that the next activity would be profile activity dot class. Okay, so what I'm doing right here is I created a class called home that extends the main application, and then we have an onCreate method. So what this home class do is, because it extends the main application, so this would be the class that will check the current session of the Firebase user. So we're doing Firebase auth. We're getting the instance of the Firebase auth, and we're getting the currently logged in user. And here we're checking the status of the user. If the user do actually exist, which means the user haven't actually signed out, then we're going to start a new activity, sending the user back to the profile activity. Okay, so this home class, we're going to add this inside the manifest file, and this will act as the main application class, so that when you run the app, the first thing that it will start with is the home class. And based on this home class, which what we're doing here is checking the current loading user. So if the user is actually active, then straight away send this user to the profile activity. Otherwise, it will be sent back to the main activity, which has the login and the sign up button. So you need to add this inside the manifest file, and to do that, inside the application tag is we're going to do app, sorry, I'm going to call name, Android name, and you can see it immediately displayed the home class. Okay, so let me just, for this login activity, I'm going to set the screen orientation to portrait, and I'm going to do the same thing for the profile activity. Okay, so let's give this a test. Let's run the app, and let's see how it looks like. So the build is running. So now we officially sign off from the app. I think we've signed out from the app. If we didn't sign out, then we should be directed back to the profile. Yep. So you can see, right? We haven't yet signed out from the app, and the first thing when you launch the app, this home class will first run, and inside the home class we have the onCreate method, and what we're doing inside the onCreate method, we're checking the status of the currently logged in user. If the user was active, send the user to the profile activity. Otherwise, by default, we'll send back to the home activity. Sorry, send back to the main activity. So let's sign out. Okay, let's quit the app, and then we're going to launch the app again, and we're going to see how the flow is. So launch the app. So now it checked in the background, checked the status of the currently logged in user. So if there's an active session, start the activity by directing the user to the profile activity. But in this case right now, since we're officially signed out and there's no active session, so by default the app will direct the user to the main page right here. Okay, so that's basically the idea why I created a class that extends the main application, because that is the main class that will run when you officially run the app. So the first class will start, check the status. If there's an active user, goes to the profile. Otherwise, go to the main activity. And that is the result right here. Okay. All right. So that's basically it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Do give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel for more awesome tutorials. Again, thank you for watching and happy coding.